Water is the very essence of life. Wherever there is water, there is astonishing variety and abundance. The human world depends on water too. Almost all the world's towns and cities are near permanent bodies of water. Water affects every aspect of our lives. In fact, we are water. 75% of the human body is water. But other animals also need it. There are now few places on Earth where humans and animals are not in competition for this essential resource. In the Amazon basin of South America, there is an ample supply of water. The largest river in the world supports lush rainforests. The animals of the forest rely on the plentiful waters to deliver food. Even a large cat, like the jaguar, depends on water. Even if the nearest water is only a small pool. It seems cats of all sizes share a taste for fish. The people of this region also depend on the river. A fisherman hauls in an enormous tucanare, enough food for a large family. This is one place where man and wild animal can fish the same waters in harmony. In fact, the local people hold their fellow fisherman, the jaguar, in high esteem. Both man and animal take only what they need. The natural balance is maintained. In some parts of the world, people actually fish with animals. Off the west coast of Africa, fishermen and dolphins pursue the same shoals of fish, together. The fishermen position their nets in the shallows. The men slap the water, and the commotion attracts nearby dolphins. The dolphins chase after the shoals of mullet that live along this coast, driving many of them into the waiting nets. Driving mullet against the nets makes an easy catch for the dolphins. And there are plenty left for the fishermen. These people may take large numbers of fish from the sea, but even after feeding their families and sending the surplus to market, their impact on the fish population is marginal. The same tactics can be used year after year. It's a method that works perfectly in this place to catch this fish, mullet. Catching different kinds of fish in different kinds of water calls for a variety of techniques. Seabirds have their own specific methods. Gannets are high divers, targeting their prey from great heights with pinpoint accuracy. Most of the birds in Britain's Shetland Islands are after the sand eels that live in the North Sea. Guillemots and razorbills patrol beneath the waves, using their wings to power down into deeper water. Cormorants are deep-sea explorers. Their large feet propel them through the water, and they literally stick their necks out in search of food. Other seabirds manage to fish out of water. The skua deserves its black reputation as a pirate. Skuas chase a bird, in this case a gannet, and harass it, trying to make it drop its catch. Landing cuts short the attack. The sand eel is vital for the puffin. It eats nothing else from these waters. In fact, seabirds here eat more sand eels than any other type of fish. They take enormous numbers of them, but both birds and fish remain part of a balanced natural system. The birds take only the food they need, their numbers limited by what the sea can provide. If the fish population plummets, the bird population plummets too. There is a strong interrelationship. When we fish, the natural balance is often put at risk. During the 1970s, commercial fishermen began to exploit the Shetland's bonanza of sand eels, not as a food source, but for use as fertilizer. Before long, 50,000 tons of sand eels were being hauled out of the North Sea every year. To us, the sea holds a hidden treasure trove, an infinite resource. It stretches on forever, and what we do to it remains concealed from our view. But the ocean does have limits. In the Shetlands, fishing turned to overfishing, and within a few years the number of sand eels collapsed. Only when new legislation set strict limits could the fish population recover. Disaster was narrowly averted, just before it took its toll of the seabirds. In the Shetlands, fishermen discovered the truth. There is a limit to how many fish we can take from the sea. At the edge of every ocean, there are great harbours, sheltering fishing fleets ready to take advantage of the seas. But fish are not the only animals we have decimated in the oceans. In Alaska, an entire population of marine mammals was virtually obliterated, its limits discovered only when it had nearly disappeared. During the 19th century, sea otters along this coast were hunted to the brink of extinction. In 1911, hunting was outlawed, and the number of sea otters miraculously recovered. There are now so many otters that they are found even in busy harbours. The hunters were after their thick fur. Sea otters have the densest fur of any animal. A 6 square centimetre patch has more hairs on it than a dog has on its entire body. It's estimated that there are over 150,000 otters in Alaskan waters. They live in huge groups called rafts, any one of which may comprise 1,000 or more otters. The otter's return is a mixed blessing. At 1.5 meters long, these are large animals, and they have large appetites for clams and other shellfish. In such healthy numbers, they represent serious competition to fishermen. Two different subspecies of sea otter live along the Pacific coast of the United States. One lives as far south as the kelp forests of California. There's a plentiful supply of food on the seabed, including one of the otter's favourites, sea urchins. The urchins feed on the giant kelp plants that grow right up to the ocean surface. People also have an appetite for sea urchins. They're eaten raw as sushi in Japanese cuisine. Harvesting them is a painstaking process. The urchins are prickly and they live in the thick forests of giant kelp. But there is tremendous demand, especially for California's red sea urchins. More than $50 million worth of these urchins are exported to Japan each year. It's fortunate that the human harvesters, along with sea otters, keep the population of urchins in check. Otherwise, they would destroy the kelp, one of the wonders of the natural world. Giant kelp grows at an astonishing rate, up to 30 centimetres a day. When it reaches the surface, it sprawls across the water in thick mats. Special boats are used to harvest the seaweed. It's a bit like mowing the grass, but on a huge scale. It's processed for use as a thickener in products ranging from yogurt to toothpaste. But kelp is even more important as a fertilizer. The hormones that make it grow so rapidly have the same effect on crops, boosting their growth rate. Seaweed is also loaded with minerals. As important as fertilizers are to agriculture, they are useless without one truly magical ingredient: fresh water. Virtually anywhere there is fresh water, we can grow food. The paddy fields of Asia can feed millions, thanks to the monsoon rains. Rain isn't the only source of water for agriculture. Massive amounts of water are stored on mountains as snow and ice. When this solid water turns back into a liquid, it has only one way to go: down. In South America, meltwaters from the high snowfields of the Andes nourish the mountainsides. People have been growing food here from long before the time of the Incas. And they have been growing the very same crops, including a protein-rich grain called quinoa, with a flavour similar to buckwheat. Quinoa is a major staple in the region. A traditional way of life is maintained, as it has been for centuries, by hard work and the simple gift of melting snow. Surprisingly, it's harder to grow food in the wettest regions of all, the rainforest. There is too much water. Rain leaches the goodness out of the poor soil, and trees lock up any spare nutrients. It's just possible to make a living here by farming. The people of the Rio Negro region of Brazil clear sections of the rainforest to grow the simple crop they depend on as a staple: manioc, also known as cassava root. Juice is extracted from the root, which is then ground and roasted to make a kind of farina or flour. It's a major source of carbohydrate, and not just for man. Even with copious amounts of water, man can only eke a simple living from the impoverished forest soil. But the rainforest isn't always wet. It has a dry season. After 5 months of rain and flooding, the waters finally subside. The Amazon River and its tributaries reach their lowest point. Ironically, it's at this time that much of this region is at its most productive. Many animals take advantage of the low water levels and clear weather to mate and raise their young. The Rio Negro is home to large freshwater turtles. As night falls, the female turtles emerge and climb up the sandy riverbanks to lay their eggs. Like all species of turtle, these red-headed turtles lay their eggs in shallow pits, which they then carefully fill in. This female has done all she can to protect her eggs. But as dawn breaks, thieves appear. Wakaris are the first to arrive. These primates usually feed on fruit, but they know a good thing when they see it and will come down out of the trees to search for the fresh eggs. The Wakaris know from experience which sandbanks the turtles lay their eggs in, so it's hard to keep these protein and fat-rich meals hidden from them for long. The Wakaris are not the only ones to take advantage of this seasonal delicacy. Local people also come to the riverbank to dig up the turtle eggs. Like the monkeys, they know the value of an easy meal. They also catch any turtles that have lingered on the shore. The river provides a good supply of protein from just one freshwater species, the red-headed turtle. Its eggs, mixed with manioc flour, and its meat provide a welcome change from the usual fish supper. We have long recognized the vital importance of water and all that it provides. Ancient cultures believed their rain gods wielded power over life and death. The Tatanac Indians of Mexico still worship their rain god every year, performing spectacular aerial rituals in his honor. From the Mayans and other lost civilizations up to our own time, any culture that loses touch with the value of water does so at its peril. In the Amazon basin, one local culture fully appreciates the natural rhythm of the seasons and the dramatic changes the rains bring. In most of the region, more than 2 meters of rain falls each year between December and May. The river swells into a torrent, and the local fishermen are ready and waiting for the thousands of fish being forced straight in their direction. Bamboo fishing platforms hang out over the raging water. The fishermen use large hooked poles to grab the fish. The technique is basic but extremely effective. And, providing their platforms and nerves hold, this is a time of plenty. Water is never in short supply for man or animals in the Amazon basin. But there are many regions of the world where this fundamental commodity is a great luxury. This is a rare sight, camels in need of a drink. A camel can survive for days without access to water, but then it may drink so much water in one sitting that it would kill any other animal. Contrary to popular belief, the water is not stored in the hump, but in chambers in the stomach. The camel's hump stores fat, a reserve it will draw on during long periods without food. These camels could even quench their thirst with salt water, something no other land animal can do. Other desert dwellers have different tricks. Dawn in Namibia, southern Africa. Here the desert lies close to the sea, so in the early morning a thick layer of sea mist forms. A fog stand beetle. It's about to take a drink, right out of the air. Raising its abdomen towards the morning breeze, the beetle lets the water condense on its body and trickle down into its mouth. Further inland, in the drier deserts of Namaqualand, birds have their own ingenious way of obtaining water for their young. These are male sand grouse, which have a very active role in parenting. They have come to drink in this small pool in the bottom of a dried-up river. But while each one quenches its own thirst, it also soaks up water in its specially adapted breast feathers. Their young also need to drink, but their nests may be far away. Some birds make an 80-kilometre round trip every morning, just to carry precious water across the desert to their young. A clutch of newly born sand grouse awaits their father's return, perfectly camouflaged to avoid the attention of predators. When their father arrives, the tiny birds know where to find a drink. Our own ability to transport water has made it possible not only to survive in desert landscapes, but also to transform them. How often are we using water wisely? Kilometres of pipes and tunnels, channels and aqueducts carry water to regions that could not otherwise support cities. In our efforts to tame the desert, rivers have run dry, or even begun to flow backwards. The tallest fountain in the world is in the middle of a desert, and half the water shot into the sky is wasted, evaporating before it can fall back to Earth. The shimmering city of Las Vegas, like many other cities in the US, is also sited in an arid desert. It receives less than 20 centimeters of rainfall a year. Populations that are measured in the millions live in regions with virtually no naturally occurring water. It must all be transported from other places, and that can lead to disaster. This was once a thriving freshwater lake, Mono Lake. But much of its water was extracted and diverted to Los Angeles. The lake was nearly pumped dry. Salts that leached upwards from underground have become concentrated by rapid evaporation. The lake water is now so salty that very few species can survive here. Only brine flies, brine shrimp, and the gulls that feed on them. No other animals can tolerate the extreme conditions. Although there are a great many flies here, there's very little else. Mono Lake has become an impoverished habitat. Parts of the shoreline are crusted with salt, a fate that may await many other lakes. We are the only species that can dam mighty rivers and make the water do our bidding. The colossal Hoover Dam stands over 40 stories high. It required enough concrete to pave a highway from New York City to San Francisco. But sometimes a river refuses to be tamed. The Mississippi is the largest river in the United States. There have been many attempts to divert it, to straighten its course, to contain or channel its waters. All of these efforts have led to the same disturbing result. The river now flows more strongly than ever. Floods often breach levees built to contain the river. Not surprisingly, the change has a profound effect on wildlife. The Mississippi Delta is home to thousands of brown pelicans. But these wetlands, where pelicans rear their young, are in trouble. Because the Mississippi is now flowing so strongly, its islands are disappearing and new ones are not forming. Sediment that would normally create islands is carried straight out to sea. The wetlands are disappearing at a rate of 100 square kilometers every year. For now, because the water is rich with nutrients, the pelicans and other birds can find plenty of fish to eat. As the delta changes, the wildlife will have to adapt or face eviction from their home. Over time, this region is likely to be an even more challenging place to live. Storm clouds gather ominously and often. Heavy rainfall in the Mississippi floodplain can lead to disaster. It has happened many times, but never as severely as in 1993. Torrential rain and flooding in New Orleans was just the beginning. There was no holding back this water. The Mississippi refused to be contained by the 1,500 levees built along its banks. Water goes where it wants to go. More than 20 million acres of farmland was soon underwater. 75 cities and towns were submerged in the worst floods in the region's history. Water can be a devastating force when it goes where we don't want it to. But water can also deliver usable, sustainable power, especially when it carries the kind of energy generated deep underground. Heat. It's this kind of water that lies beneath Iceland. The island sits right on top of one of the most active volcanic hotspots on Earth. Water is an efficient conductor of heat, but it expands as its temperature rises. The results are spectacular. Power stations harness this geothermal energy to heat and light Iceland's homes, with plenty left over for industrial use. This natural energy is comparatively clean, a welcome bonus. People soak up the warmth in nature's own heated swimming pools, a paradoxical pastime so close to the Arctic Circle. The heat at the Earth's core is normally inaccessible to man. In Iceland, water brings it within our grasp. Wherever water forces its way through the Earth's crust, there are hot springs. Apparently, we are not the only creatures to appreciate them. In the mountains of Japan, macaques soak in volcanically heated water. It seems the monkeys copied the idea from humans. Now they often spend hours a day basking in pools built specially for them. The monkeys easily survive bitterly cold winters, thanks to these superheated waters of life. The only disadvantage is that it seems much colder when they finally get out. More bathers, enjoying another warm natural spring. These soothing waters are in Florida. They're warm rather than hot springs. The Florida springs may look less dramatic than the geothermal springs of Iceland, but they are every bit as remarkable. These waters are part of a vast system of springs and underground caves that runs under much of this large state, and even extend out into the sea. West Indian manatees have followed the warm currents of fresh water inland from the sea. They normally live in salt water, but in the winter the warmth of the freshwater springs is very tempting. They seem to bask not only in the mineral-rich warm water, but also in the attention shown by their fellow bathers. The manatee is descended from a prehistoric plant-eating animal, which would wade through wetlands in search of food. This distant ancestor was closely related to the elephant, the manatee's nearest living cousin. Although these gentle giants enjoy the protection of man in the United States, they're still highly endangered, with only 2,600 West Indian manatees left in the wild. Part of the problem is that they seem to have no fear of man or his machines. Water seems to be the very essence of Florida, from springs to wetlands. From fishing grounds to water parks, the Sunshine State is saturated. An ample supply of rain falls on lush vegetation, and the water picks up acids from the plants and soil as it soaks away. The acid content of the rainwater gives it the power to dissolve and sculpt the limestone that lies below much of Florida. Water percolating up through the limestone creates an eerie effect. We know that these waters are part of an extensive system, but no one knows just how extensive it is. We do know that the system connects Florida's interior to the sea, underground. The springs are an unpredictable and dangerous place to explore. In the last 30 years, more than 50 divers have died in this mostly uncharted system, lost and out of air. These divers can have little idea of what they might find. They're entering an unknown world, a labyrinth of undiscovered mysteries. Scientists are fascinated by the peculiar organisms living in these caves. Who would think that a new form of life would be found underneath one of the world's most popular tourist areas? The secret of these caves is that they are home to a unique bacterium, which lives only at the interface between the layers of fresh and salt water. This might seem unimportant, but it is in fact the basis for a whole chain of underwater life, one that does not rely on sunlight. Between the underlying salt water and the clear freshwater above is a thin, murky film, full of the bacteria. They become food for these cave hydroids. Blind crayfish have a lifespan of more than 100 years. As yet, we have no idea how or why. An eel finds itself in the spotlight. This eel seems totally unafraid. It's probably the first time it's encountered a human. It may also be the last. All of the eels here are females. They live in these springs for more than 10 years before they mature and join the males of their species out in the sea. In this pristine water, the divers' lights reveal the creatures that live here in startling clarity. Many of the underground tunnels exit into the sea. Sea fish know where these tunnels open. They swim into the warm, fresh water to shelter as it makes its way out into the ocean. Finally, the fresh spring water wells up through the surrounding seawater. Sailing ships used to come here once to restock their supplies of drinking water. Modern visitors come for a very different reason. To encounter creatures who are far more at home here than we are. Sharks. Diving with blue sharks is admittedly dangerous, but the closer we get to these remarkable animals, the more we learn to respect and appreciate them. Sharks rarely deserve their terrifying reputation. Many, like these reef sharks, are no threat to humans. Thousands of people have come face to face with them, sharing the sea, just for a while. Sharks have survived virtually unchanged for millions of years, reminding us what fragile newcomers we are. We humans seem to believe that the world and all it holds is here for our use and enjoyment. Ultimately, this is not our world, but it is one we can learn to appreciate and protect. Water has the power to thrill. To relax. Is it any wonder that sometimes we wish life were more like a day at the beach? We flock to the seashore, the sun, the sand, but most of all, for water. The oceans, where it all began, are one frontier we have yet to conquer. We know far more of what lies below the waves than when we first went to sea, yet there is still far more to learn about the waters of life. We are made of water, but can never be at home within its world. Will we ever fully comprehend the magical power of this miraculous substance, which supports such a staggering variety of life? Earth may be the only place in the universe where water occurs not only as a liquid, but also as a solid and as a gas. A triple incarnation that transforms and envelops the whole world. From space, we can see Earth for what it really is. A blue planet. A world of water. And where there is water, there is life.